In the last episode, there's a lot of tasks left on the to-do list and no time left to do them in.
Battery hold down, that's going to be a big one still. I'm not quite sure how to handle that one. And the brakes, I still have a brake problem. Shift boot, I'll see. I'm gonna have to try and find something to order it.
Oh yeah, and then this happened.
Well, that's it. I'm officially done. That's it. I failed on this one. This one beat me.
From complete defeat to total success. Watch what happens next.
We made it to DirtFish! Woo!
So how did this happen? I ended up coming back from my trip about a day early, and as it turned out, it took all of another day to get this completed.
My master cylinder came in. So hopefully this is the right one. The bag is sealed. Oh, this looks a little bit different. Ooh. I don't know. Could be a problem. All right, how do we get this thing out? Oh, you know what? I probably should drain. All right, got that one loose. Probably should drain all this nasty brake fluid in there first. All right, clean all that crud out. Guess I can put this lid back on. Man, I really hope this one works. My daughter is cleaning out the trunk while I am hopefully going to fix the brakes today. I'm not confident that this is gonna work. So the mounting nuts are off. Would you get on there? Just turn that thing. All right. Got 2 brake lines left. There's the front one. Man, these things look bad. Come on out of there. Come on out of there. Got it. So this thing, in theory, should just come right out now. But it won't because this light is in the way. How about now? Pop that back, pull that back. Get this, there we go. It actually doesn't look too bad. That looks pretty crusty. Oh man, I'm leaking brake fluid all over the car. Well, that backfired. Just pretend that didn't happen. So I think the biggest thing is this flange on the back. It looks like this flange is gonna fit. Next issue is gonna be the size of the brake lines. And pop these off. These are definitely different. The mounting flange seems to be the same. Oh, put these nuts back on. Did you just go on there? Spin, come on, spin. All right, now, need my wrench. Gotta put it on the turn to on direction. I'm gonna have to go to the auto parts store to get brake fluid anyway, since I believe I'm out of it. All right, well, I went through my box of mess. I found a couple of fittings that were close, but didn't quite fit. So I went to the auto parts store. Found one of these. 7/16/24 inverted, blah, 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 blah. But I think this is going to fit in here. Yeah, that should be good enough.
So if you're working on a Ford, I used to have a 78 Ford, no, it was a 78 Mercury Cougar we had as a race car. We replaced the master cylinder a few times, and every time we placed it, the fittings were different. So that's why I had a box of all kinds of different fittings and adapters, because every time we changed that thing, it would take different size fittings than one we got at the store. Okay, tighten this one up already. So I think that's good. I move all this stuff off the top. Put this light cover back on before I lose it. For a custom. I made sure I got some good quality .4 brake fluid. It's higher temperature than the .3 since this is a race car. Now I've bought master cylinders before, reman, rebuilt, new, it doesn't matter. I've bought them before and they've had issues. They didn't work, they leaked, they had some problem somewhere. So, there's no guarantee this is gonna fix the problem. Maybe I should have got 2 of these. So normally when you install these, you can put them on a bench and bench bleed them to get all the air out before you put them on. But it usually makes a big mess, and it's to me, I don't really have a bench, I don't have a vise, I don't have any way to secure this. So it takes a little bit longer to do it in the car, but it works just the same. So I had the same problem with brake fluid disappearing. Brake fluid disappearing going to the rear. So it goes to the rear brakes. It comes out of this side and actually goes inside the car. And I solved the mystery of the disappearing brake fluid. It's all ending up right here in a puddle under the rear seat. So this brake line here has got to have a hole in it somewhere. So I'm gonna have to patch or replace this brake line. Just got to figure out where the issue is. And you can see it's just taking the paint right off, but there's the hole. It is right. The hole is right here. There's just a tiny little pinhole. Too small, I can't even weld it up. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to patch that. Unbelievably, I knew I had the parts I needed to fix this left over from a project I did about 10 years ago. And I actually found it in my toolbox. So all I'm gonna do now is take my small cutters. I'll cut this right here. I'm gonna have to try and cut some of this, I don't even know what you call that, some of the metal protecting rings off the brake line so I can flare it. We'll put this 3/16, hopefully that's the right size. It looks like it's the right size. I'll put one of those on each side. And then I've got an adapter, a female adapter that goes in the middle, and that will fix that leak. So I have the tools here to do a flare. Normally I would do a double flare and a brake line, but my double flaring part of the tool is broken. So we're just gonna do a single flare and just pretend there's a double flare on there. Normally it's not a good idea to run a piece of equipment that throws a bunch of sparks inside the car. But I'm on a time crunch, so I gotta do what I gotta do. Yeah, now hopefully I didn't nick the line. Couple of words of caution when you're using one of these flaring tools. Number one, make sure you put the fitting on before you flare it. I cannot tell you how many millions and millions of times I have forgot to put this on. Stuck the equipment on, flared it, good to go, had to cut it off again. And sometimes had to redo the line. So make sure you got your fitting on there before you flare it. Next thing is, on the front of this flaring tool, these are tapered. Make sure the tapered end is towards the part you want to flare. And then you got to put this on before you can flare it. If you tighten all this down and go to put this on, it's really a pain. So it's best just to do it right the first time. Fitting goes on. Flaring tool goes on the, I don't even know what this is called. The flaring tool fitting thing. And then you can tighten it up. All right, the back seat. Got the brake line fixed, the back seat back in. Some of the junk cleaned out of the back seat. Trunk is cleaned out. Although I got the sequential turn signals, I gotta secure that down somehow. That can come out. Got a light that needs to get glued in there somehow, and another light that needs to get glued in somehow. I'll have to figure that out sometime. So after totally failing last time, we got the brakes done. Let's see what else. I got the battery hold down to put in. I gotta put fuel in, and the shift boot. I gotta install the shift boot. I'll do that next probably, because that's, well, I want to do the battery hold down next. This is what I got for the battery hold down. It's a hold down kit from All-Star Performance. I think I'm just gonna take this. I'm gonna cut the top off right here. There's the original mounting bolts are down here. I should be able to take some nuts and bolts, probably drill a couple of holes, bolt this into the original spot. So that's my plan. So there's a battery tray with the top tabs cut off. It should fit in there. I just got to take a Sharpie, mark it, drill it, and hopefully bolt it in. This thing is kicking my butt. I finally got the battery in. This All-Star battery tray. I got it in and mounted, went to put these on and found out they got to come from the, you got to stick them from the inside and they come up, which I couldn't do because I had no clearance here. So then all this had to come out again so I can mount all that. I had to redo some of these battery cables because I flipped this battery around. I had to actually cut some of the plastic on the bottom of the battery down here. And the car just fell off the jack stands. All right, battery hold down's done, which was a pain. Master cylinder's in. Found some fittings to get that done. Check the list of your brakes. I still don't have brakes. We bled them, and then 5 minutes later I have no brakes again. So I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but I'll have to revisit that again now. I have some pedal pressure. I think I gotta bleed the brakes again, probably the fronts one more time. There's still a lot of junk in there, but I have pedal pressure, so I do have brakes now. The car starts, it runs. We'll have to check and see if it stops, but before that we're gonna blow all the turds off of it with the pressure washer. This is it. It is the morning of our novice class at DirtFish. We are getting ready to leave in the morning, and the Granada will not stay running. It just tends to run a little bit cold, so hopefully, maybe it'll idle now. Yes! So a few minutes and we're gonna hit the road. Well, so far I got good oil pressure. I got an alternator gauge, which hopefully works. If it does, we're good. I've got a fuel gauge that I wish worked correctly. It's showing a quarter of a tank. I know it's full. Temperature is showing very cool. I don't know if that's good or not, or if it even works. I do wish I had a temperature gauge I could see without the steering wheel blocking it. And I gotta say, it's times like this, there hasn't been a whole lot that's gone wrong other than the tires being low. The gauges look good. Time like this, I start thinking, did I torque the rear wheels? I didn't torque the rear wheels. Hopefully they're tight enough I can get there. I think I tightened them with a breaker bar. I don't know, all the stuff that goes through your mind when you're on your way to someplace to go racing. Here we are at DirtFish. made it to DirtFish!
It is not necessary. And then go through tech when it is race ready. You're gonna want to take your helmet and probably put it in the front seat.
We'd like to thank Northwest Rally Association. They put on a great show. We went to DirtFish, to the Novice Rally School. Unfortunately, I did not. It's hard to drive and film. In fact, they don't allow you to do that. I couldn't be out of the car filming other people, so I really didn't get any footage of learning to drive there. But I just wanted to cover a few of the things we talked about in the class. So we arrived there. You had to take your car through tech. It had to be all ready, race ready. But when they were ready, everybody gathered around. We had everybody had to have a mask on. We had to be social distance because of what's going on. They talked a lot about cones, what the cones mean. We talked about coursework, working on the course, the importance of doing that. Part of rallycross is you drive part of the day, you work the course part of the day. Nate Tennis is the lead driver instructor there at DirtFish. He gave us a lot of instructions on car control. Shelby, what was your favorite part about the class, or the things that Nate covered?
My favorite part about the class was when they were talking about weight transfer and how to get the car sideways when going around a turn. That was my favorite part.
So they gave us this, we've got this Novice Rally School booklet here with some different tips in it. I would highly recommend the class. It makes you a much better driver, whether you're going to go rally racing, rallycross racing, or doing any kind of racing, even just driving on the road. One of the things I found the most interesting was this page here. We're talking about traction. There's only 3 things you can do with the car: brake, accelerate, and steer. So everything you do with the car is based on those 3 things. All right, so coming from a background of road racing, asphalt circle track racing, dirt racing, there's different lines you take for different cars, different tracks, but they talk about late apex and the rally late apex, which typically, if you're rally racing, that's the cornering you want to take. It's completely different than road racing. It's completely different than circle track. It's probably closest to dirt circle track racing. A lot of the stuff you do, except in circle track racing, really going fast and turning left. Here you're turning left and right, and you're taking different corners differently to set up for straightaways. It is completely different than anything I have ever done before. It is a sport in and of itself. I would imagine maybe off-road trucks is kind of similar. But if you have experience in road racing and circle track racing, I would highly recommend going to class, doing some rallycross racing, because it's a whole new level of motorsports. It's a lot different than anything else out there. Shelby learned how to drive a manual transmission just days before we actually went to this event, and she drove the Celica here, which well, first of all, I wanted to teach her when it had a blown clutch, because it was slipping pretty bad. It was a lot easier to drive without stalling it, and it didn't happen. When I put the new clutch in, then just before the video's not out yet. So just before we went to the class, I put new tires on. They're a lot bigger, so now it has a clutch that grabs quick, and now it's got bigger tires, which means you have to rev up the engine to get it going. So it was, I even stalled it. It just was a lot more difficult to drive like that, and that's what Shelby learned to drive on just before we show up to class. Shelby, what about the driving, actually driving on the track? About car control? I noticed you were sliding the car around the track a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, was that fun?
Oh yeah, it was way fun.
Yeah. And then what happened on the last session of the Northwest Rally School, Rallycross School? What happened?
I ran over the tires because I
up?
couldn't see the dust.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it got pretty dusty. It was pretty hard to see. So Shelby ran over a tire and knocked one of the rocker panels off. The Celica. It's not a big deal. It's still off, but it's not really a necessary part. But I am very sorry I did not get that on video, because that is something I would have recorded and would have been just great. That's what happened. It was a practice class. This is the time to learn. This is the place to make mistakes. This is the place to try new things. But there's lots of different tricks you can use. There's a lot of finesse in the driving when you're doing rallycross racing. So it was a great experience. I would highly recommend it. I would like to plan on going back again next year and possibly going to some more rallycross events. It was absolutely an epic day. We learned a lot. I know I learned a lot. My daughter Shelby, she learned a lot about car control, weight transfer. Then it was time to pack up. The cars definitely had some damage and some use, so it was time to assess the damage, fix what we could, wash off the mud. And Saturday we were home preparing for the race event on Sunday. The next video we'll talk about what I had to fix. There's a few things that needed to be repaired and a few minor adjustments, and of course we cleaned it, and I actually put a coat of wax on the Granada thinking that would help the mud wash off easier. If you're curious about what's happening with these cars on my YouTube channel, you can subscribe to my Facebook and my Instagram account. I post there often for updates on what's going on with all my many projects. Until next time, stay safe.